My dear friends, it is a pleasure to be with you to talk about the death of death, which is basically what I'm working on. If you look at the current crisis now, which is COVID, and this is my weapon, I'm wearing my weapon against COVID masks, which are important, we see that the number one risk factor is age. The older you are, the most probability you have to die. And not just because of that, we can see there are many other crises, pandemics in history. And actually, the COVID crisis is very small, very small. The largest one, like the Black Death, killed about a third of the European population, or other crises, smallpox, even the Spanish flu, which was not from Spain, actually, but it killed between 50 and 100 million people when the population of the world was only 2 billion people. So COVID-19 is actually a small crisis. However, governments are spending incredible amount of money. If you look at the USA, it has already invested, the government, $2 trillion, and private companies, billions and billions of dollars. Altogether throughout the world, $11 trillion. So this is a lot of money. And again, this is not just for COVID, that aging is the number one risk factor. For all diseases, for influenza, Alzheimer's disease, cancer, cardiovascular disease, for everything, the number one risk factor is age. But if we could cure some diseases like cancer, maybe we could add 3 years of extra life. And if we could cure all heart disease, maybe we could add 4 years of extra life. And if we cure them both, cancer and heart disease, 7 years. But if we slow aging, if we stop aging, we could increase maybe 30, 40 years all of life. So we need to think a new way of looking at diseases and change from sick care today to health care in the future, where aging is the main risk factor. In fact, aging, we could say, is the mother of all diseases, in the center of the problem. So 3 years ago, my friend David Good, who studied in Cambridge, England, I also studied in Cambridge, but Massachusetts, we got together to write a book about what technology will do to cure aging and to stop death. And so we wrote this book that has been a best-selling book in Spanish first, in Portuguese later, and it is coming now in 3 other world languages, in Chinese, in French, and in Russian, and then in more and more languages, so I'm very happy. Additionally, we are number 1 in Spain and 5, number 1 in paper, number 5 in Kindle. Also in Portugal, in Brazil, actually we were number 1 as well. And we are donating all the royalties, all the book rights to scientific research, half in the Sense Research Foundation with Aubrey de Grey in California, and the other half in Spain. So this is to accelerate the process. And why Spain? Besides that I am living in Madrid now, is because Spain is aging very fast. And actually, in about 20 years, it will have the largest life expectancy in the world, only after Japan among the large countries. So Spain really is aging fast, and that is a tragedy if we don't stop aging. However, there are many important Spanish scientists like Juan Carlos Ispizua Belmonte at Salk Institute in California, who is able to rejuvenate mice using the Yamanaka factors, some incredible new technology. So this is beginning. And many other scientists like Maria Blasco, one of the world leaders on telomeres and telomerase. So many scientists in Spain and in other countries working on these technologies. So much that I decided to start a political movement last year in terms of pushing for longevity in Spain at the European Union level. And I got 7,000 votes for the European Parliament. And not only me in Spain, where I repeat, we had 7,000 votes, but also in other countries. Like you can see, for example, in Germany, they got 71,000 votes in a party to stop aging. And then other countries as well. In the USA, the Transhumanist Party, they got 16,000 votes to promote these ideas. So my objective is to change the very old logo or motto of Spain 500 years ago, which was non plus ultra, because Spain was the country of nothing far beyond until the America was discovered or rediscovered. And we changed the motto from non plus ultra to plus ultra. But now we need to change it again, and it should be Vita plus ultra. Why Vita plus ultra? Because we are going to be living far beyond longer, healthier, more productive lives. Some people, like my friend Ray Kurzweil, says that by the year 2045, we might be able to become immortal. And actually, even before that, this is the idea of the technological singularity that will make us more intelligent with artificial intelligence and also much more longevous, basically living indefinitely by 2045. I was one of the founding faculty of Singularity University. In fact, in the first year in 2009, Nuno Martins was one of the students of the first Singularity University class. And so Nuno knows this from the very beginning, the ideas of the singularity and immortality. And basically we give 2 dates because all technologies are converging, nanotechnology, biotechnology, infotechnology, cognostechnology towards the singularity. But there are 2 important dates. One is 2029, when we expect to reach longevity escape velocity. And the second one is immortality by 2045. So if we make it for the next 10 years to 2030, we will reach longevity escape velocity, or sometimes called also Methuselarity, the singularity of Methuselah, that will enable us to live 1,000 years and then indefinitely, but aging. And then by 2045, we will be able to rejuvenate people. All these changes are happening exponentially, faster, smaller, cheaper, and better. And if we think exponentially, things move very fast. If we walk linearly, 30 steps, each step of 1 meter, after 30 steps, we have walked 30 meters. But if we walk exponentially and we double every step, after 30 steps, we have gone around planet Earth 26 times, and we have walked over 1 billion meters. So we need to think exponentially because technology is changing exponentially. A few years back, I went to visit Sir Arthur C. Clarke, who is very famous for his science fiction like Space Odyssey 2001. But he's also famous for the 3 laws of the future. First law of the future. When a famous scientist says that something is possible, he is probably right. But when he says it is impossible, he's probably wrong. Second law, the only way of discovering the limits of the possible is to venture past those limits into the impossible. And the third law, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So let's talk about magic, because we are living in a magical world. 30 years ago, personal computers were just beginning. 20 years ago, cell phones were spreading throughout the world. 10 years ago, Google, Facebook, and other companies were growing very fast. So what will happen in the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? We are going to see magic, because remember, we are moving exponentially, not linearly, and we will reach age control. An example that most people know from computers are the famous IBM punch cards that you can see. They contain 1K of memory, 1K. We moved from those to the big floppy disk of 8 inches big, and they were also 1K. Very big, very inefficient. And then we kept on advancing with different floppy disks, each time more and more memory, and smaller and smaller and smaller. Now we have pen drives that have 1 terabyte, 1 terabyte. So in 30 years, we passed from 1K to 1 terabyte. It is incredible. It is an improvement of 1 billion times, 1 billion times from 1K to 1 terabyte. And this will continue, and not just with computers. This is happening also in biology, in medicine, as you can see with the sequence of the human genome. The first human genome cost just the US government, over $1 billion, and it took 13 years, $1 billion from 1990 to 2003. Today, finishing 2020, you can do it for over $100 in a couple of hours. Soon we will do it for 10 minutes and $10 and 1 minute. So this is moving incredibly fast. And once we sequence the genome, we can know which diseases we are going to have genetically. And we can even know where our ancestors come from. You can see there my paternal line or my maternal line. And we will be able to design our children to know where we come from and where we are going. For example, this is an experiment I did with one of the students from Singularity University in the year 2009. And we check how our children could be if we combine our genes and then select the child that you want. This will be possible very, very soon because we can sequence the genome, and this is changing everything. So much that now we can call aging a disease, but a curable disease, which is the important thing, a curable disease. In fact, in the last few years, we have been able to double the life expectancy of mice, which is incredible, double life expectancy of mice. Also, we have multiplied by 4 the life expectancy of mosquitoes, and by 10, the life expectancy of worms. We have worms that live the equivalent of 1,000 human years, the Methuselah worms. And these worms, or mosquitoes, or mice, are not extended their lifespans because scientists love them to live longer. No, the objective is that to use that on humans, to make us live healthier longer. And additionally, we know that there are immortal cells, like the famous Henrietta Lacks cells that just turned 100 years old because Henrietta Lacks was born in 1920. She died of cancer in 1951, but her cells are alive. They are 100 years old, and they look like teenagers because they do not age. Cancer cells do not age. So there are cells that do not age. And not only cancer cells, which are bad, but also the best cells, germ cells for reproduction. They also do not age. So we know that there are biologically immortal cells, good ones and bad ones. Additionally, we know that there are immortal animals like hydras and some medusas that also could live indefinitely. And even more important, bacteria, which are the first life forms of the planet, also are considered biologically immortal. Life appeared to live. The purpose of life is more life, better life, healthier life, longer life. And we are learning a lot from biology, also how to regenerate organs, like some animals can do. And even scientists now in Spain are being able to grow back fingers using these discoveries from animals. And we can even 3D print organs today. In 10 years, we might basically regrow our organs with our own cells. Also, there are experiments even to not just do organ transplants, but body transplants. And this might be possible in the future. We are going into a world of incredible opportunities. And my friend Aubrey de Grey, who is probably the leading scientist talking about anti-aging, he wrote a fantastic book called Ending Aging, a best-selling book. When he was writing the book, MIT Technology Review, the magazine of my alma mater, MIT, in 2005, he said that, they said, MIT, that Aubrey de Grey was nuts, that he was crazy, that he was a charlatan. Imagine 14 years later, in 2019, actually a new cover page from the same magazine, MIT Technology Review, published just the opposite. Old age is over if you want it. So it is incredible how the vision of the most important technological magazine in the USA changed from calling him a charlatan to telling him he was right. In fact, this is very normal of revolutions. The famous German philosopher, Arthur Schopenhauer, he said that every revolution goes through 3 stages. First stage it is ridiculed. Second stage, it is violently opposed with violence, lots of violence. And number three, it is accepted as self-evident. In fact, I am sure, I am convinced that by 2045, when we look back to our time today, we will say how primitive we were today, how barbaric we were today, that we would let people die. Horrible thing, because we are very close to stop aging and reverse aging. My friend Ray Kurzweil, on his book, Fantastic Voyage, Live Long Enough to Live Forever, he talks about three bridges to immortality, three bridges. Bridge number one is still now the decade of the 2010s, which is do what your grandmother told you. Eat well, sleep well, don't drink, etc., etc. Bridge one, which takes us into bridge two, beginning now in the 2020s, which is biotechnology treatments that are just starting. And then that will allow us to reach bridge three in the 2030s, which are going to be the first nanotechnology treatments. And bridge three will take us in the 2040s, where artificial intelligence as well will help us to reach immortality and rejuvenation by 2045 at the latest. More and more companies are realizing that this is happening very, very fast. Like Google. Google created a subsidiary, a company called Calico, California Life Company, whose objective is to cure aging, to stop death, to solve death, because death is a technical problem and it will have a technical solution. This is incredible. And not just Google. Most technology companies, like Microsoft, now that we have sequenced the human genome and we can find the mutations that make cancer immortal, we will be able not only to stop cancer, but also to see the clues for immortal cells. And Microsoft said in 10 years, we will probably cure cancer. But if you don't like Google or Microsoft, how about Facebook? And then Mark Zuckerberg and his wife, Priscilla Chan, who is a medical doctor who studied biology at Harvard, where she met Mark Zuckerberg, they are donating 99% of their fortune to cure all diseases, including aging. And they said that their daughter, when she was born, Max, their first daughter, that she would not die of aging, at least, because we will have cured aging by the time she's an adult. So there is a growing ecosystem, incredible, that did not exist 10 years ago, that is growing into billions of dollars now, and it will soon grow into trillions of dollars. This will be the largest industry in the world in one decade. And also because even doctors keep on doing research. And in 2012, the Nobel Prize in Medicine was given to one scientist from Japan that I visited in the University of Kyoto, Dr. Shinya Yamanaka, who got the Nobel Prize for rejuvenation of cells, what we call today self-reprogramming. We can reprogram cells. So we can change some genes and change an old cell into a new cell. We can do this today. Aging can be controlled. Aging can be reversed. Aging can also be accelerated. Aging is flexible and it is controlled by genes. So many, many technologies are appearing. Also, epigenetic clocks, which are relatively new, that were discovered less than 10 years ago. Now they can be used to see if animals are being rejuvenated, because otherwise you have to wait until they die. And we don't want to wait for them to die. We want to see if they are becoming younger. So epigenetic clocks let you check on real time if you are becoming younger, or animals. So we invented that technology 10 years ago. Also CRISPR. CRISPR is very new. And it will allow us to genetically modify organisms and to stop diseases and even to stop aging probably. And senolytics, one of the first treatments we are going to see, which is eliminating old cells, eliminating senescent cells from the body. All of these technologies are very new. They did not exist 10 years ago. And top scientists like David Sinclair could not have written this fantastic book that came out last year, Lifespan, uh, and he covers all his research at Harvard University. We just had a fantastic event in Las Vegas, virtually, Revolution Against Aging and Death, RAD Fest, Revolution Against Aging and Death, where we talked about all these technologies with all the world leading people, like in this event here today with you. And not only that, we also said that this is a revolution. This is something I like to yell, Viva la revolución, because this is a revolution against aging and death. And we have to be prepared for the future. Otherwise, we are going to die. Imagine people as wealthy as we saw Paul Allen, the co-founder of Microsoft with Bill Gates. He died with $65 billion. Why? Because he's not following what is happening in age reversal treatments that we published for the first time at the RAD Fest, age reversal update, with what you can do now at the beginning of Bridge 2, which is the bridge of biotechnology into immortality. Again, so this is so that we change the future, and not with an application, a computer application like Face App from Russia, that you can change your age. You can be younger or older with an application. But I don't want to do that. I want to be younger, but biologically younger. And we know this is possible today thanks to technology. Even in the Bible, it says, the last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. Immortality has been the dream of humanity from the beginning of humanity. The first book in human history, the Epic of Gilgamesh, was about immortality. Or the pyramids of Egypt also were about immortality. So all of our dreams from the past have been about immortality. Also in China. In China, the emperors of China were talking about immortality, that they wanted to be immortal. The emperor that built the terracotta army, Emperor Qin Shi Huang, he talked about immortality. Anyway, just to finish up and to talk about immortality, I want to invite you to come to Madrid, to the most beautiful, fantastic place in all of Spain, the Ateneo de Madrid, the Athenian of Madrid. It was going to be in 2020, but we have moved it to June 2021 after the pandemic, and it will be immortal. So I hope you can come. In previous events, we have had incredible speakers like Robot Sophia, which is fantastic, a humanoid robot of the future, the closest to a human in terms of intelligence today, but she's very stupid compared to what we will have in 5 years in the future. Anyway, we are going to have incredible technologies in the future. So read The Death of Death in any language, and welcome to Madrid next year, because just to finish, like the Chinese say, they have sayings for everything, the Chinese. They have a beautiful expression, which is crisis, with 2 characters. Crisis has 2 characters. First character is danger, but the second character is opportunity. We are in a big crisis with coronavirus, and we are spending $11 trillion for a small virus, $11 trillion. Imagine if we can do that to stop aging, the mother of all diseases, the main cause of suffering in the world, aging. This is the common enemy of humanity. It is not COVID, it is not terrorism, it is not climate change, it is aging and death. That is the common enemy of humanity. And we live in an incredible time, incredible time. We are between the last human mortal generation and the first immortal generation. And my question is, where do you want to be? You want to be among the last who die, or among the first that become immortal? So thank you very much. I want to see you in the future, in Portugal, in Spain, anywhere on the planet and beyond, on Mars, the moon, and the rest of the solar system and the galaxy. As my friends say, live long and prosper.